What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with the Page, and today we're going to be doing a BookTuber shout out. I originally have an hour and a half footage of this video where I went through and used a number generator to pick the videos for the booktubers who picked my next read, and I found that it just didn't do what I wanted. So here we are. What I want to do is talk through 10 different booktubers that I have selected their TBR games for and save them to a playlist. I'll leave that playlist link below, so if you want to go check out each of these videos that I have stolen the prompts from, that will be below. But essentially I just want to talk through the booktuber, what prompt I ended up going with from their TBR game, and then the book that I then read and my rating for it. There are 10 booktubers. I read 9 of these in the first 8 days of this month. It is now the 24th. The only one was the last one, and in the video I was like, oh, check in on Tuesday to finish out this vlog, and I never checked in. So here we are. But I have 10 wonderful booktubers. I absolutely adore their TBR games. Some of them have been recently new to me finding them, so I might have only been watching them for a month or two, but I love TBR games so much. And so this is Audacity August, where I have the audacity to steal as many TBR games as humanly possible in one given month. It's concerning considering I still had Cluedo and Pick-Pongathon. Let's get into the people and the books. And if I can make it work, I will also hopefully be showing the snippet of the prompt from their video. So the first booktuber I want to talk about is Jane from the Bookaholic, and let's see what her prompt was.
Let's go for the first spin. Okay, yellow is the first spin.
I had my Alchemist TBR for the Magical Readathon, which I'm also fitting into this, so I didn't want to stray away from there. And so I had a look through my selections, and I decided to go with Felix Ever After, which I was actually putting under the orange book for Magical Readathon, because I don't think you could have got a more yellow book. I ended up giving this 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really beautiful exploration of coming of age and finding yourself, finding out what feels authentic to you, and the trials and discussions surrounding marginalization and having multiple marginalizations that you identify with. James's channel is so amazing. I absolutely adore their bubbly and friendly and approachable personality. They're constantly working so hard to make as many read-alongs and readathons and just fun things happen. They really are a light in the booktube community, and I really enjoy watching their color wheel every month because I have been watching for a while now, at least 8 months, and I enjoy everything that she brings to BookTube. I feel that she has really enhanced the community and grown it through the different involvement with other people, and she always has really interesting and fun ideas. So the next person is Valisa Renee, and let's see what their prompt is.
The next card was this blue card, and it was for anticipated read, and because it is a blue card, it means it has to be either a sci-fi book or a horror book.
And for this I went with Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers and gave this a 5 stars. I absolutely blew through this. I had so much just feelings towards this. It's so wholesome and beautiful. I love the conversations, I love the characters. Becky Chambers just has this way of making me feel so safe and comforted, and this definitely shines through in A Prayer for the Crown Shy, and the way that they explore what they want to do and how can we help one another, and it's just very wholesome. Lisa is a relatively new to me channel. I found them would have been a few months ago now, and I've been watching Getting Poo, Through Candyland and To the Picnic, and I just love their vibe. It is just something so aesthetic about them, and the conversations that they bring are so engaging and so interesting. They read a lot of different genres to what I do, but I find that their recommendations are pretty on point for me. So if I do want to venture out, I don't feel afraid going towards their channel to see what they recommend. The prompt for this one was a science nonfiction, which I just wasn't happening. But I found that all the options that they pick, I'm always curious about them and always interested in them. So like I said, still pretty new to their channel, so I can't wait to dive in deeper to their channel and see more. But I really enjoy the content that I have seen, and I adore the Winnie the Pooh TBR game and the fact that they match to the character that they're playing with. Like, brilliant. Next up was Average Jess Breeds, and their TBR game is like a Disney-fied Monopoly, except for this round there was a little bit of chaos. So they had to have their kids pick, and they also combined it with Cards Against Disney and have to fulfill a particular card. More TBR games inside TBR games of video ideas. Chaos. So let's have a look at the actual prompt.
Here's Sven on lowest rated. Let's roll number 1. Is a kid pick. Their question is, I'd be done seeing about everything when I see blank fly.
And for that one, so I don't have a kid, I have Ash, which is essentially the equivalent. So I got him to pick and to fulfill that statement, and he chose The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. I ended up giving this a 4 stars. It definitely felt like a bridging book, but I could see that it was written as one cohesive story, similar to Lord of the Rings. It wasn't meant to be divvied up into different parts, so I understand why this felt the way that it did, and I felt that it made sense in the grander scheme of things for it to not flow as well, because the development is on either ends. But not a bad book by any stretch, and I'm very keen to continue on with the rest. In terms of Jess's channel, I think this is the first month that I've been subscribed to the channel. I believe they took a bit of a hiatus, and they're back, and I'm just very excited. Their personality seems like one that I would get along with super well. They seem so much fun, and I love that they're all about villains, all about Disney, and I'm totally into that. They recently put out a video talking through the villain series by, oh shit, what's her name? Not the Katie Roberts ones, it's the actual Disney's. And it was really interesting seeing how they talked about it, because I had tried one and I wasn't sure about continuing on. It reinvigorated to actually go back and to give them a shot, even if I am picking them up from the library, because just the descriptions and the way that they explained the progress of the overall narrative throughout the different ones just cemented it as something that I do want to pick up eventually. So I see that I'm going to get a lot of recommendations, and I have a lot of faith in the content that they put out. Next was Ashley's Media Addiction, and this was Boggle Chooses their TBR. And firstly, let's have a look at what the prompt is.
Rule number 1. And the first word that I see is chore. C-H-O-R-E. Rule number 1 gave me the word chore. Not the best start for me. So it needs to have the word chore in the title, or I was trying to think of what I could do for chore. I'm thinking a book I'm no longer interested in. It'd be a bit of a chore to pick up and read.
I love the music that they play when they're doing the boggle shaking. That was hilarious. But the prompt was chore. And the only book on my TBR this month that would fit this to the T was A Dance of Dragons Part 2 by George R.R. Martin. This is not even that chunky, but I'm intimidated by Game of Thrones. I keep reading it and not in love with it in the way that everyone else is, and I read this and I gave it 3.5. I'm now caught up, which is yay. Thank you, Ashley, for finally getting me to this point. And it was my first completed read for Pickpongathon. I'm just not the biggest fan of this series, and that's a shame because it seems so well loved, but I just enjoy it and move on. But Ashley's channel I love their accent. I love the way that they're always so engaging with the community and just having so much fun. Being on lives with them is hilarious. I just adore talking to them and hearing what they have to say. The different contributions to just everything is wonderful. They're also coming out with a readathon, the Scooby-Doo readathon next month, and so I'm super keen for that because I love readathons, I love Scooby-Doo, and I love that their channel is not just books, it is media. And I don't watch TV or movies, but I know that I could go to Ashley and be like, this is what I'm looking for, and find that on her channel because they just cover so much and I love it. Next, we had Lotties Library, and I was using the July round of their game because they weren't doing it for August. They just needed to give a little bit more of a mood reading space.
That's a 6. Adria and Daedra. And we have Namira, the Daedric Prince of Decay. Read a book out of your comfort zone.
Having just read Game of Thrones, the apprehension was real, but I decided to go with The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini, and I'd really enjoyed The Sea Prayer by them originally. So I read this, and ow, everything hurts. I gave it a 4.5 stars. For me, I'm just not a literary fiction reader, and I'm okay with that. This, holy shit, brilliant. I can see why so many people love it. I can see the true value in it, and I was hurting so much whilst reading it. It made me mad, it made me sad. There were a lot of emotions for this, and I'm so thankful that I did read it because it really was such an eye-opening experience. In terms of Lottie's channel, I'm very excited to see where they continue to go. For me, as I'm a relatively new subscriber to them, I think I've only been subscribed for about 2 months, but their vibe very much on par with what I wish I could be. I just find that they got a little bit more dark and grit. I enjoy seeing that and being able to explore more of that content, and so I'm very, very excited to continue watching. Even if they continue mood reading for the rest of the year and don't go back to their Skyrim game, I would fully appreciate that. I just really enjoy seeing what they come up with next and being able to have really in-depth discussions. So just to quickly recap, there's been these 5 books. I finished this at like 11:50 on the 4th of August. So we're doing good. I also have a prayer for the crown try, which is not that thick, but it's still in there. All of that in 4 days. So on to the next half. The next one was Margaret from the Word Nerd, and let's have a look at their prompt.
Number 3 is going to be The Alchemist's Laboratory. Read a book with an inventor.
This stumped me for a minute because there wasn't many options that I had, and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go. And then I remembered Full Metal Alchemist, which I definitely remember there being a very, very traumatic inventor in this, but also like Winnie that is in this. And then in this particular one, we are also looking at like this inventor guy that is scaring the shit out of me. I gave this 5 stars. I adore this series so much. I feel like we're really starting to explore quite in depth on the alchemist and the alchemy that's involved, and I'm very, very excited to continue on and pick up the next one in the series because I just love them so much. I love Margaret's channel so much. I love the amount of effort that she's put into Fable, which is her readathon game that is going all over. It is quest and adventures and chaos. And then she is also a massive part of the BookTube support groups and being able to uplift voices and to help them grow as a channel. I mostly found her through Brianna from Four Paws and a Books doing Vader and her involvement with that, and the Avengers Initiative, Readathon. There's just so many aspects. And then Sarah from A Novel Serendipity and her doing the Curious Minds book club where they read 1 non-fiction and 1 fiction. There's just so much going on with Margaret, and I love it. I love the amount of things that are there to peruse. Her recommendations are amazing. Her intellect and discussions are just amazing, and I'm really excited to see where the Curious Minds book club goes to continue on and explore the non-fiction complemented with fiction, as I think that's a really unique way of doing it, and I feel like she is a perfect co-host to be able to get that in-depth discussion and just Yes. Next is Amy's Bookish Life, and her TBR game is based off Labyrinth, and it's the amazing TBR game, which I love because pun. Yeah, I live with Ash. Puns are starting to become a thing that I enjoy. It's weird, but here we are. So let's see what her prompt was.
Here, so we're gonna start with Green 14. Green 14 is an adult from the prompt jar. Author name, first initial. So the first initial should be of either the first or last name, should be the same as mine. So we're looking for an A, C, or B in the first, middle, or last name of beginning of the author.
I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I could choose mine as well. Oh, we've got B, that could match. So I had the choice of Terra Nullius by Claire G. Coleman, double C's, or what I went with, which was Fireheart Tiger by Elliot Debadard. So that has the A for her and the B for both her and myself. So I was like, yep, perfect, let's go with that. For that one I gave it 4 stars. This is a short little novella and I found it really interesting. There was a lot of concepts that were explored in a very short period of time. I would love to see Elliot Debadard's writing fleshed out a little bit more. I know she does mostly keep to novellas, but I'm very curious, and it gave me a nice taste of her writing, as it was just the perfect pace and very quick and light, but also dealt with some serious shit. Amy, I'm again very new to her channel. I found her through Amy from A Star Reads and their discussion in the Bookstar read-alongs, and I find that Amy is just so friendly, so bubbly, so uplifting for everyone, and just always just going about everything being lovely. When I think of Amy, I'm thinking very wholesome, very comforting, and I love channels that have that sort of homeliness to them, because you always want to go back and watch their videos and feel like you're just sitting down and having a chat with a friend. Even if I don't comment on anyone's videos because I'm shocking at that, having that sense of, you know, you're just watching a friend get excited and talk about a variety of different things, and you can just enjoy their enthusiasm and be able to just feel that comfort. And the next person was Kim from Whimsical Narratives, and Kim does the TBR Cafe, so let's see what her prompt was.
Is an 11. Man, we're rolling high today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for our first coffee. And our prompt is anticipated read. Oh, I was really hoping I would get this card on a pet pick, but that's okay. Anticipated read.
Since we'd already done one for Felissa, I sort of combined the two with The Flames of Albion by Jane Menzies, because this has been an anticipated release since it came into my hands last December, and I am cheering. I gave this a 4.5. Speaking of comfort, this, very wholesome. I loved it. It was funny because it was reading like the Septimus Heap series by Angie Sage, which is a middle grade, and continuing on that way. And then we had some lesbian spicy scenes, and I was, yes. I didn't find that disconcerting at all because it was leading up to that moment, and the protagonist doesn't feel young, just the adventure and sort of exploring this new world had that similar sort of middle grade whimsical vibe, and then we're adding it in with lesbian, bisexual representation, and it was glorious. So I loved it. In terms of Kim's channel, I have been watching her for quite a while now, I believe, and they recently hit 1K, so congratulations, Kim. That is such an amazing achievement. Recently they put out a video about the origin of their store and the history behind their channel name, and I was just mildly crying. It was fine. Very heartwarming and just so lovely to hear the history and the narrative behind people's lives. I think when it comes to BookTube, there can be a sense of this isn't a real person behind the camera, but I've never felt that with Kim's channel. She's always so open and approachable. She does weekly reading sprints, which just, when you can actually talk to someone in real time, it definitely makes a difference. And I just love seeing her channel and the videos that she puts out. I always feel like they've got a really relaxing but that atmospheric vibe. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's so wonderful and so lovely. Kim's channel is just fantastic, and I can't wait to see where 1K takes her. Next up we have Chelsea Zhao. So let's see what the prompt was.
Pick another one. Pick another green one. The one on top again? Okay. Show the camera. What is that one?
Green.
Yeah, green. Highest rated. Okay, we can do this.
And so I went and had a look at the rest of my remaining TBR, and the highest rated out of those was Bloody Rose by Nicholas Ames, which is the second in the Kings of the Wild, or the band, series. I gave this 4 stars. I didn't love this as much as Kings of the Wild because I didn't enjoy the characters as much as our band in the first one, but I really enjoyed seeing different representations, and I thought that it did so many excellent conversations, and I love this sort of turning fantasy on its head. The main premise of this one is we're following the bard. So I found that very interesting, and shit goes down. There's also LGBT representation in this, which I adore. Just a lot of fun. Chelsea's channel I absolutely adore. She does a lot of boxings and book talks. She's recently had a second child, and just I love the vibes that she brings. She is so friendly and so lovely, and I just really adore her inclusion of her eldest, and then her introduction to her bubba was just so cute. She does do a lot of different singular book reviews and a whole slew of amazing content that I absolutely adore. And then we have a book fiend named Mel. So let's have a look at the prompt.
12. LGBTQIA+ rep, which is again also perfect because it is Pride Month.
And so I went with Sister Song by Lucy Holland. I then ended up having to put this book down and forgot to come back to it. I finished this on the 8th. I then had to read Book of Life for Bookstyle read-alongs. I finished that on the 12th and then picked this up from the 12th to the 15th. Book of Life is why this vlog got completely derailed and is now a sit-down video. Have 0 fucks because this was really awesome. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed seeing the trans representation in like a retelling. I was not familiar of the 3 sister stories prior, but the way that Lucy Holland explores it was brilliant. I was really taken aback in the direction that this went, and it was just so engaging. It was very quick to get through, and I love a myth retelling, so I was very on board for this from the get-go. Now, Mel's channel. If you haven't heard me talk about Mel, hi. You definitely might be new to this area of the woods. So Mel is one of my BookTube besties. I love her with my entire heart and soul. She is just an amazing, supportive, wonderful person. She is constantly just putting out amazing content that I love to watch. Her roll of reads is catered to her personally, but then we've also had the roll of reads readathon for her birthday, which she opened up to everyone and just made it that community event. Her Ellie from Earl Grey Books and Lana from Laura Lullabies are like my trio that I go to because I just love them. They do the Last to Read book club, and Mel has just been a constant figure in my BookTube life, and I love her so much because she is just so wonderful. I'm very appreciative to Mel, who puts up with my chaotic mess, and I think that her content is absolutely amazing. If you have not seen her Pick Pongathon video, please go check it out. I was not in hysterics. I was mostly in hysterics. She does a lot of BookTuber shout outs as well. She does productivity sprints quite frequently. She's also started the Graceling read along in August. I definitely would recommend checking her out and seeing what she gets up to, because she's always doing so much and it really is so exquisite. This plus Fireheart Tiger and Breath of the Crown Shy were the 10 books that I had the audacity to steal during Audacity August, and I have to say, based off this, the best prompts for me were Velissa's anticipated read, and also Margaret's A Book with an Inventor, because they were both 5-star reads. Everything else was so high, and I just had a brilliant time getting through these. And honestly, I'm so grateful for Ashley having a chore as her prompt, because I finally got caught up on the Game of Thrones, which I was going to put off for another 6 months to 6 years. So I had so much fun getting through all of these. I apologize that I didn't really have the vlog style that I originally intended, but I did film this when I was off with COVID, so my brain was all over the place, and I wanted to do these BookTubers justice because they deserve it. So I thought, scrap it, let's go a sit-down video instead, because I know that these people are fantastic fucking BookTubers, and obviously if you're not subscribed to them, please go check them out. They're linked down below. It's been there the whole video. I love all of these creators, and I'm so excited for those that I'm relatively new to get to know even better and see the content that they're putting out in greater detail, and those that I've known forever just continuing to love because they're amazing. I'm also hoping to do continual renditions of this whenever the mood strikes. Really, I'm not very good at doing themed reading vlogs. Obviously, this is how we've ended up in this situation. We'll see how I shake it up, but if you do have anyone whose TBR game you absolutely love, please link them below and let's share the love, because I have mentioned more than just these 10 BookTubers in case you didn't notice, but you know, I'm very excited to check out more TBR games. The beginning of the month is both the most stressful time and the best time because I get to watch all the TBR games, but I'm so stressed that all the TBR games are coming out. So yes, let me know down below any that you absolutely love as well, and let me know in the comments who do you think your BookTube tastes align with most, whether that be the 10 that I have mentioned today, and if there's someone new that you're like, yes, this person is exactly what I want from a BookTuber, or if it's someone else, just let us know. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!